Get up on your feet, this is a shakedown.
What's going on, everyone? What is happening across the social media world? Well, for the life of me, you know what? I had a test for you there. I had a test for you there, my friend Steve. I said if Bradley Carnell can show the whole wide world that he doesn't need his superstars in a lineup to win a game, he's the man to be coach of the year. And he is now proven it. He's proven it. The unsung heroes of this Philadelphia Union team stepped up on Saturday night. You guys, Jose Bueno stepped up. Makes an amazing goal through traffic, and it didn't matter. Gets that ball to the back of the net, and what does he do? He pulls out the python. And then the unsung hero himself again, Marcus Anderson, comes out of nowhere, and between little window of separation does he find the back of the net. Great win for this Philadelphia Union club. Again, when you didn't have the superstars of this team step up, and the rest of the lineup says, don't worry, Philadelphia Union fans. Don't worry, Sons of Ben. We got this. Well, they showed it.
No, absolutely. And you looked at when the starting lineup came out, it was like, ooh, this is sad. This isn't, I don't really know what to expect. And we knew they were going to have a makeshift lineup going into it and everything. But I think what really this game showed is not only the depth, but that there are other guys ready to step up and take minutes, right? Credit to Jillian and Kyle, who covered the Union as well, and the Union too. They mentioned Marcus Anderson in an article of theirs earlier in the week, and look what he did, and he's probably that next player. He should definitely be getting more minutes than Donovan at the striker as a reserve, in my opinion. But those two goals, we've talked about Bueno, right? That he deserves the minutes, he deserves his chance. That he's been big in previous games last year, even this year, and again, like you said, he brought out Lukic's move. He brought out the snake from his banger of a goal. So I'm at the point now with this Union team where you expect 3 points, and I don't know if that's a good feeling to have. I don't know if that's the right mindset, but I feel like they've earned it. Past the halfway point now, and they're picking up right where they left off from the first half.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. I mean, they are picking up where they left off, and just to stand back and look how dangerous this soccer team is heading into the future with a new face at the helm is just beyond me. Like, usually when you don't have your star players, it's a bit of a stretch. It's going to be a long night. It's not going to be pretty. However, it was the complete opposite. Like, again, will a real Philadelphia Union please stand up? Because that's what you asked for. You asked for someone to answer the bell. You asked for who was going to be, who Who has it? And Jose Bueno showing the ruthless aggression, showing that he wanted it. And again, when it was time to make a play, he made it. He made a sensational goal from distance through traffic. And then he pulls out the anaconda. Oh, that dude is bad. And then, like I said, Marcus Anderson coming up clutch. You know, Charlotte kind of made it in a game late with some late minutes, and he comes up and like I said, through two defenders with a little bit of spacing, he unleashes a goal. And this is a guy who got sent down to Union 2. Jim Curtin's regime didn't think he was ready. And you know what? Bradley Cornell went, "You up here. Let's go. Let's see what you got." Like this is the things that shock you. And like we've mentioned in plenty of times before, we talked about Jim Curtin, talked about how great he is, and the next coach coming in here as soon as Jim Curtin got released was, well, the next guy's got plenty of big shoes to fill. Well, oh my, Bradley Cornell is walking around with some Timberlands on. He is fresh. He is cool as the rule. You name it. He's rocking it. I mean, he is filled those shoes, I think, significantly well, because like you just mentioned, if you would have pinched me and told me we're going to run back with the same team, just a little minor tweaks, and tell you that this team was going to be in first place almost by the halfway point with 37 points, only with 11 wins, 3 losses, and 4 ties, with Plan B team to come through to make a huge night, a huge win, I would slap you silly. But no, this team is doing their thing.
And Charlotte's no joke of a team. You know, you've mentioned them earlier on in the year where it was, you know, this is one of those surprise teams who look at what they've been able to put together. They were missing a guy. I can't pronounce it, but he's one of their big goal getters. He's with Team USA right now, so they were missing a person. But credit to Zaha, their goal. He was obnoxious. He was a pest all game. It was only a matter of time before he was going to get a goal. And he got a little push off even on his one goal. On it looked like Frankie was trying to play defense on him, but regardless, this all goes back to the culture that Bradley Cornell has instilled in this team. I think he knew what he was dealing with when he signed up for the job, right? He knew that Curtin was a beloved man in this city, for the soccer fans. They know what he knew what his resume was here. And he knew about the changes of the different players that had exited. And he has lived up to every single billing, and then some. And there was a video about them. They went go-karting together instead of practicing. He took them out. They went and rode go-karts and bumper cars or whatever it was, played video games at an arcade. It was good team building, you know, and I think it just shows that this team is built for something special, right? All these games that they're winning, right? So they just won Charlotte, both goals in extra time. Bueno's goal was in extra time in the first half. Marcus Anderson, that ended up, I think I saw the Union's latest goal in history. The comeback against LA. A lot of these games were losses last year, right? Where now they have that belief where these losses are now wins. So it really is. It's crazy to think that they're on this road trip, and I feel comfortable. I feel comfortable with them being able to, you know, get at least 7 points on this road trip.
And know what's funny? You just kind of remind me, right? You remind me of you talked about like we talked about the offense of this team, and like I said, there was some things that were disappointing because there was so many scoring opportunities this team had. Like India Vaseline had a great look. There was the one play where Glazes made a big defensive play, made to pass out to Lukic. Lukic could have made was like on the drive of making a play. But with all that being said, how about on the defensive side of the ball? How about the one play that Westfield made? Like this is a kid who's straight out of the academy, who's making great strides, and every day he has now become must watch TV. I mean, not just because of offensive game and his vision, the play he made on Saturday night where it looked like if it wasn't for him, this thing could have been ugly. This thing could have been a Charlotte's win, but he makes a run back and where Andre Rick wasn't there, he made a huge stop. And I was like blown away by that because like again, that's the game changer for you. That's the whole that changed the whole complexion of that game. And I'm like, wow, this kid's got it. And this is again, like you mentioned too, Steve, when you look at the team, what he know what Bradley Carnell signed up for, knowing that probably behind closed doors, this team is not about spending cash. They're just all about processing through the farm system. That's all they do is process through the farm system. They're not looking to spend the big Benjamin on any kind of big name. You can toss, they'll minor move it. They'll spend a couple Washingtons and Abraham Lincolns to get a name to come through here, but they ain't spending no Benjamin to bring a name in. Not that caliber. They'd rather just pump through the farm system. And for the most part, it
It's
has
five and below. It's like five and below.
it's weird. It is. It's like going through
We all
Payless
love
and
five and
finding
below,
like
though. You know,
yes. It's like going through. It's like being in the early '90s, pulling out the LA gear, the LA Night shoes, the LA gear shoes. If you remember, if you go that far
the
back in
light
the early
ups,
'90s, or
the light
the
ups.
lightest or the pump shoes, like knowing they're from Payless, but however, man, these shoes are cool. Well, that's what's
Yeah.
like for the Philadelphia Union. So listen, I'll be right back. I got to take my little guy to the potty, and I'll continue with you.
All right.
That's it.
All right. So I'm going to continue, and I mentioned it talking about this road trip. You get the week off. Everyone in MLS gets the week off right now, and bunch of teams are going to be playing Wednesday. You're going to have the first time Jack Elliott's going up against his old team. Then you got the away game against Columbus, and then you got the Sunday night matchup against Nashville. All games on the road, all potential matches without um, Quinn, Harriel, Danley. Excuse me, who else? Andre Blake. So all guys who could potentially be moving on in the Gold Cup, and the Union are going to be without them. And I had mentioned earlier, I feel comfortable. I feel 100% comfortable with the type of lineups that Bradley Carnell may have to put out there. He has shown he has the ability to mix and match and put players in the right positions. He knows what he's going to get from guys. He uses his bench, regardless of what we've seen game minutes of them. The he's seen in training. He has seen what these guys are ready. Bender, one of those guys. I think he played pretty decent game. Um, there he is. I was talking about Bender and how he's kind of one of those guys. I thought he had a pretty okay game. He definitely tries to make something out of nothing, and I think he can get away with that when you're missing key guys. Because you could tell he is talented. He does have he will bring a skill set. But like I was saying, with this road trip coming up, you got 3. You get the week off this Saturday, and then they come back Wednesday. You got the Jack Elliott game. Then you got the second rematch against Gazdag, and then you close it up with Sunday primetime against Nashville away, where they're going to want to get those 3 points back that they lost in March. But I feel comfortable with the type of lineups that Carnell is going to be able to put out, even without some of the key guys who are going to be out with the goal during the Gold Cup.
Well, yeah, right, yeah, and like you said, last year, seeing a couple guys are out of the lineup, and hey guys, just showing some love. Thanks, Joey. Love you, buddy. That's like, again, when you look at this team, look at the lineups. Like last year, again, you're scratching your head like, oh man, that's enough, because everyone's again getting their call ups, not going to be with the team. But in some ways, I think not only I think the call ups affected this Philadelphia Union team in a good way. And here's the reason why, because
Yeah.
I think the guys who are not up with the team are showing you that, hey, I should have been called, or I should have been called. You know what? I'm going to just unleash hell here with the Union. I'm going to do my parts, like the Kai Wagners of the world and the Glesnesses and all those guys. Like, they're going to do their part. So, but like I said, going back, it's just a world of difference. And I'm, like I said, I'm not taking anything from Jim Curtin. Great guy, knows his stuff. Honestly, he could get an MLS head coaching job at the snap of his fingers at any time he wanted. He just, he's just lets the MLS know he's ready to get back to coaching, and he could do that thing. But to me, it's just Bradley Cornell. It's just, again, no worries. All right, my best players ain't going to be here. I'll find something else that will work. And like you said, you talked about Ben Benders. This is the first time Ben Benders has faced his old club, and I was wondering what was going through his mindset.
He
Seeing
wanted,
his old boy,
he wanted a goal. You could
he
tell he
wanted
wanted.
to,
You could
yeah,
tell.
he wanted to pay, make those guys pay. So again, great Philadelphia Union win, man. It feels good. It seems like, again, it doesn't matter. This team is clicking on both sides of the ball. I mean, offensively, defensively, these guys are just playing with such grit, such hunger. It's unparalleled right now, and it's just unbelievable. And this is why they are what the record says they are. They are sitting in first place right now. They're sitting in first place for a reason. It's not because it was just picked out of a hat. They are playing because they are hustlers. They are hungry dogs. They want it. He definitely won the Bradley Cornell brought to this table. If you want to do identification, he brought the hungry dog out of this whole squad, out of everybody. Like, everyone's hungry to get in there. He switches up, formations, substitutions, throws different, puts stars on the bench. Wants to try this. He's not about the stats. He's about to get the W. He wants a W.
And you look at this stretch of the road games that they have coming up, and then you look at the rest of the schedule. If they can get through this and remain in first place, I really don't see like a stretch of games for the remainder of the schedule that should give them a hard time. You get through this stretch without Ty, who's dealing with some stuff in Israel. I know he's back at home, but he was dealing with an injury anyway. So he said Carnell said could be out a month maybe. So that's about that July 12th game back at home against the Red Bulls. So this is a big stretch where guys like Marcus Anderson, who was given the minutes in this game, he was needed. He was definitely needed in this match, but the minutes that he was given, he was able to provide meaningful, productive minutes, right? So what confidence that does for him moving forward, what confidence and trust that a Cardinal has in Marcus. Marcus now knows, damn, coach believes in me. I can do this stuff. I could be that spark off the bench for Ty, for Bruno, for Ua whenever Ua gets back as well. But damn, I totally forgot Ua was out.
Well, that's
So that's another name. It's incredible.
yes, dude, and like you just mentioned, Marcus Anderson now building confidence with himself, building his stride, his hunger, his aggression. Again, find the back of net. Now he's in crunch time, which is huge. You can see him now, just like even tells Bradley Cornell, you know what? I'll miss my top guys. That's okay. I got something else in the chamber. I got more arsenal weapons in my chamber than you think. I got more tricks up my sleeves than you think. You think I just got stuff up my left sleeve. I got bunch of tricks. How do you want me to hit you with it?
Everywhere.
Everywhere, man. He's causing chaos everywhere. So I do want to run this little exercise with you. And I figured in a couple minutes I'm going to do it. It's going to be a little fun exercise. Because you did have me thinking, we are almost at the halfway point with the Philadelphia Union. Like I said, I know I didn't see this coming. Did you have a feeling, Steve, that back in February, you're like, you know what? Let me see what this thing does. Let me see where this chip falls and lay, where it could fall, where you just let it fall where it may lay. Did you have a thought in your mind that this Philadelphia Union team could be in first place or were going to be in first place?
Not first place, but when it comes to the confidence level, I knew they were still going to be a playoff team, right? Last year was a what's the word I'm looking for? An anomaly, right? It wasn't. You look at what they did the previous 5 years; they had the most wins out of anyone in the MLS, right? Through that stretch. That just doesn't happen because of luck, right? So I will say with Curtin the year before, there was a lot of bad luck. There was injuries. There was the ball just didn't bounce their way, and you kept hearing him say that in press conference after press conference, right? So with the moves that they made when it comes to a head coach, you went and got a striker who no one knew about, and people are still on the fence about Bruno, about Damiani. You
Mm-hmm.
you you get somebody like Glavinovic, who's obviously out with injury, but he had meaningful minutes, right? You go and you get someone like Lukic, who has fit the mold of Philadelphia, the mindset, the grittiness, right? And then Danley, who was signed late last season, now had an off season under his belt. There's no way that this team wasn't going to be able to, and you still had all your veterans, right? There's no way
Mm-hmm.
that this was going to, I thought this was going to be a bottom feeder team. I knew this was going to be, you might, I had them like fourth, fifth. I felt comfortable and confident with the signings. I went off of Bradley Carnell's resume of that first season that he was with St. Louis. Everyone wants to say,
Right.
"Oh, well, look what he did in the playoffs." They fell off. Yeah, well, that was with that team. Look at what was. Did that club have a Wagner? Did that St. Louis club have a Andre Blake in goal with a young kid like confidence of Andrew Rick as a backup and ready to be called up whenever? Did they have someone like Quinn Sullivan, who is having a dynamic year, one of the leaders in assist, right? And uh, uh, I think today I saw on one of the Union social media today, a year ago, Ty scored his first MLS goal, and since then
Wow.
he has scored the most goals out of anybody in MLS, right? So that's not a fluke. You can see what he's doing. It's not a fluke. I I didn't think they were going to be first place, but I for sure thought that they were still going to be a competitive club. So definitely a playoff team, but I definitely didn't have them in first place.
No, first of all, thank you, Brandon, for all the likes on TikTok. Again, guys, this is on the It's a Wrap Sports Network right here on the YouTube page. So if guys from my TikTok want to see me, and my man Steve talking some Philadelphia Union, just hop on over. Joe House says, "Is the Union the youngest team in the league?" I'm not
I
sure. I
believe
got to.
so. They're one of them. They're up there. If not,
Then he goes a
I'll
little
look it
bit
up
off the
right now.
rail. Yeah, then he goes off the rails a little bit, Joe. I love you, but this is a little crazy talk. He goes, I think
Woo.
Curtin was overrated and overlooked head coach. Oh, whoa, Joe. I love you, buddy, but put down the Mountain Dew, will you? Please put down the Mountain Dew off of that statement. But again, we kind of mentioned. I want to go over the
Union.
teams
Yep.
in the league. I want to see what you thought, prior to, and what you're going to be your afterthought. Here goes Cincinnati. I would think you and I both can agree that they were going to be contenders, and they're going to be a contender to the playoffs.
Yeah. They'll continue to be.
Okay.
They have the soccer culture there. They have the fan base. Um, good coaching. I think though the Union have their number this year. We'll find out though. August 30th
Yes,
in
yes.
Cincy.
Nashville, a different team from last year, in third place right now. Do they make it to the playoffs? Are they a legit contender?
Um, they're one of the teams that worry me the most. I think
I'm
what they
with
have
you.
um with Mukhtar and Surridge, that combo that they have between the two of them, they have the offensive firepower to compete with the Unions when it comes to if this becomes a shootout, they're a team that 90 plus I'm on edge when it comes to comes to it.
Same. I think they'll be right there in the thick of things. Like I said, Mukhtar, dangerous player. I don't know what happened down there. He is a tough customer. If anyone they could be the poison apple for this Philadelphia Union team, it's definitely Nashville. You got Columbus. I think Columbus will be there. Will be at the playoffs. Orlando will be the playoffs, but again, they're iffy. They're not a cup contender to me. They're just a playoff contender. Were you expecting? I guess this is where you see them being at.
I I thought they were going to be the team that had the hangover, even though they lost in the championship game, obviously. But I thought they were going to be the team with the hangover, not the Galaxy. So
Yep.
I'm really shocked. I'm really shocked that they've been able to hold on and still be a competitive team. I think they could, if they fall down anymore in the rankings, I can
Mhm.
see them being a team though who, if the Union have to play them in the first round, could be a scary opponent to have to deal with in the first round.
Oh wow! The way the Union rocked them
Proven,
a few times. The way the Union
proven
rocked
team
them.
though, you know.
They are a proven team. They've been playing, like I said, matter of fact, keeping that fifth spot, sixth spot. They got the sixth spot. They got Miami. Miami, I expected again getting tons of work. Running the league last year, you were going to get
Yeah,
tons of work. Um, Red Bulls at the
with
eighth seed. Go ahead.
with Miami in all the tournaments that they're in, like they're in the FIFA World Cup
Yeah.
right now. Um, they were in Champions Cup. Is the fatigue in the amount of
Um,
soccer they're playing? Do you, can you see that catching up to them because they got a lot of old guys
oh,
on that team now?
oh yeah. I see. Yeah. Listen, last year was great. Was a great story again, but that was your year to crack it and win the whole thing, and they didn't. They, like you said, they ran out of steam. Now I think, like I said, even with Messi kind of catching some steam, I think they're gonna lose. they're going to run out of fuel. Red Bulls at 8. I thought they would, being the champions. I thought they could. I expected them to kind of fall apart again, fatigued. Winning anyone who wins the cup usually in now December, by February, you're still having that hangover, being tired.
And they're a good club too. They're a young they're another young team too. But those New York teams, I got a question for you because they're right next to each other, 7-8.
Yeah.
Do both of them make the playoffs, or do only one? Is New York only big enough for one MLS team in the
No,
playoffs?
I gotta admit, I think that they're both going to make it, but that's as far as they go. Um, I don't see them making a significant splash in the playoffs. I think NYC is a one and done. I think Red Bulls are going to be a one and done. Um,
Yeah.
like I said, Charlotte's still there. They could possibly make it. Chicago, to me, has been the most surprising team in the East when looking at it, as far as being again the doormat of the MLS to being a little bit of a better team, especially picking up Elliott. I said, what do they sign out to be losers for next year? But no, they kind of improved a little bit. New England, I thought was going to be I'll go with you. What New England better team? Did you expect to be? I think you called New England to be a better team.
There's always that team. Like you had the Galaxy, who I didn't think it'd be that drastic how much they'd fall off. But there's always that team who was really, really good in the 1 year and then drops off. And then there's always a team. That's my favorite part about MLS. You never know.
Right.
And yeah, I had New England. Um, as that team who could make some noise, and they seem like they've gotten their stuff together. They went on like a 4 or 5 game winning streak, I believe, earlier in the season.
Yeah, they were hot in the beginning, and just like Sharp was real hot in the beginning, and then they cooled off. Um, so yeah, different team though. They're a different team. Again, I thought they would have been better. But no, they're at the 11th seed. DC, I thought would be a little bit better. Going with Bennick, and man, it's just not paying off down there.
Yeah, I feel bad for him. It's a situation, and who knows? Maybe he enjoys being down there and being in the limelight and just being the man. But he's a guy who, boy, if he could get out of DC, can you imagine him with this Union squad?
Gosh,
Right?
nasty.
Really, imagine him. Imagine him on any top competitor. Any of those top 4 teams right now. It's a game changer. And so that's where I want the MLS to get to a point where, like in the NFL, in the NBA, where you can you need if you need to dump off players for salary cap purposes, or because you're not going to make the playoffs and you want to get some draft picks for it, or cash, or you want to dump off a few guys from your farm system, everything like that. Can you imagine if you could have a mid-season trade right now? Benteke would be the number one trade
Oh
prospect. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Oh, that absolutely. Again, he would be. We and you and I both know that's DC United. That's their boardwalk. It's going to be a whole lot to snatch to give up to get him into your club. But again, I didn't think they were going to be. No, I gotta be honest. I thought the way they were looking improvement last year, kind of knocking on the doorstep of the playoffs. Now, kind of being a bottom feeder along with Atlanta. I kind of expected Atlanta being a bottom feeder, giving up a couple of their good players in the off season. I kind of expect this from Atlanta. Um, did you see this from Atlanta being a bottom feeder?
It's a market where I'm shocked that they're not better than what they are. But Guzan he's such a bad goalie. He can be scored on. I just think defensively, you look at their goal differential. 13. he gives up too many goals, and that's why the two matches that we've already faced them, I really didn't feel threatened at all because I knew I was surprised by the outcome, but going into it, I was like, I'm not worried about this team. So I'm just shocked more by how bad they are because of the market they're in, but
Right.
I'm not because of their roster. Their roster doesn't, even on paper, doesn't strike me as a
Yeah,
top
right.
team.
Contender. Joe House says, is there any Union team member playing in the Gold Cup?
Yep,
Um,
you got
yeah, you,
Quinn USA. Um, Harriel is on the team. You got Danley is on Haiti, and then Andre Blake is the goalie for Jamaica. And then you got
right.
some former Union. You got Jack McGlynn, who's on the USA team, and then I'm pretty sure Damian Lowe is still on
Yeah,
Team Jamaica, former Union. So there's a bunch of them out there. There's a bunch of them out there.
yeah, yeah. So keep your eyes on the Joe. All right, and
Oh
then
yeah,
of course there's Toronto, Montreal, which yeah they stink. Um,
oh yeah,
Van,
I believe that.
Vancouver running things in the West. Did you see that coming?
No, not at
No.
all. There's a lot in the West that I would say those top four teams I didn't see um being there. And again, doesn't that just go to show that's what you want in every other league, right? You don't want to see the same champion. You don't want to see the same teams up there. Um so what they're doing, it sucks that they faltered in Champions Cup. It would have been nice to see an MLS team win it, but
Mm-hmm.
um no, I didn't see them 35 points. They're like the Union of the West,
Yes. Yes, they
right?
are. They caught the storm. They caught the league by storm. I didn't see Vancouver sitting in first. The new expansion team, San Diego, right behind them. Matter of fact, that's going to be the game of the night next week. Is going to be San Diego and Vancouver locking up. So that should be a game to watch. Minnesota made great strides last year, kind of fell apart a little bit, had their highs and lows. But regardless, they're again looks like they're heading into the right path, sitting at the 3 seed. Steve, Portland at 4. Your thoughts?
Um, Unfortunately, they had that big injury to one of their thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
One of their key players, Rodriguez. Pretty sure he went down with a season-ending injury, so that's going to hurt them. And can they have the same mindset as the Union and getting that next man up sort of mindset? They've done well to this point, sitting in fourth at this point of the season, but I can see a team right behind them, like Seattle and LAFC, coming up there and taking that last spot for home field advantage in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know how well but again, being whether they get bumped out by LAFC, Seattle, Um, just to see them kind of being in the realm of a playoff team, I don't think any of us saw it coming. Um, I saw that LAFC is kind of always in there; they're in the mix. Seattle making an upstride from last year; they're
Yep.
in the mix. Austin kind of being in there. San Jose making a big, tremendous stride from being the last
Yeah.
year's bottom feeder to being a playoff team. This is the one that kind of disappointed me. I know Colorado's young, but man, you were in the 4th seed pretty much all year last year. Now you're took a step back. Colorado, I don't know if they can get better.
Not enough goal scorers. Not enough goal scorers
Right.
on the team. And I think that's what's hurting them. And in a league now where you got guys who themselves are getting braces, you know, every single night, or you have 2 or 3 guys on your team who can go and get you multiple goals a night. So, but what's cool is we're going to be able to see Colorado. We're going to be able to see it, um, see them soon here, later on in July. So what? The Union got they got a few West Coast opponents in the second half of the season. Houston,
Yeah,
Colorado, and they'll be facing off against the top team in the West, Vancouver,
Vancouver.
later on
I
on
can't,
the
and I
road.
think I think that's a, I, one of them are a day game, like a 2 o'clocker. But that one of them's here. There's like a 2 o'clock one. It's like late September. Um, I can't wait for that one.
New England. That one's New
New England.
England.
Okay, well then never mind. But yeah,
New England's
Vancouver,
going to need
Philly.
that game.
Yeah,
Where they're at in the standings,
that's gonna be danger. Um, then you got Dallas and Houston at 10 and 11. Texas again. I expected
Yep.
the the McLean party to kind of like take off in Houston, and it seems like Houston we have a problem. Salt Lake.
I think he's out of here. I think he's
Ye-
out of the MLS.
Oh, yeah.
Coming soon. I think he's going to get dealt to a team across the pond or in La Liga, and he's going to be taking his talents to the international side. So I think that was such a great trade for Tanner and the Union when they made it. Um, and good for him. Good for him for being able to take that next step.
Yeah. Then we got Salt Lake. Now this is another team that surprised me. Third, they were in the third seed last year, a contender, and now
Yeah.
the 12th seed. Like you said, this is one of the most interesting things about MLS. Because one year you're a contender, next minute you're cleaning the garage. I mean, I don't understand what in the world happened to that team.
And when you have a stud like Luna on the team who
Yes.
is helping, who's away right now with Team USA in the Gold Cup, it's shocking, right? Another
Mhm.
name for a team who is struggling, another name that would be in the mix with in the trade world, in the trade rumor world, if the MLS had something like that,
Then you go to Kansas City and St. Louis. I thought I would get better stride. St. Louis. St. Louis was banging on the doorstep last year for a playoff contender. But no, again, bottom feeders. And then you got the LA Galaxy, the champions, who won
Biggest
the
surprise.
biggest surprise. Who are the champions, and just their mindset's 2026 apparently. It's because 2025 is just not in their hindsight
The
class.
biggest hangover. Too much celebrating. The biggest championship hangover possibly ever. But they did pick up their first win a few weeks ago, so good on them.
Good on them. And again, guys,
Good on them.
so again, I want to know, and me and Steve, so we just kind of broke down the whole MLS. Want to know what's your thoughts? Who do you think is going to be an improved contender? But clearly, it's a clear path that the Philadelphia Union are making no bones about it. Could you imagine though if Bradley Cornell can have a parade come through Broad Street with being a one-hit coach? I mean, that'd be absurd. But again, that's kind of like the format out there. And guys, are you now, if you haven't believed enough, are you a believer in this team? This team is no longer phony to me. Not when you don't have any of your star players around. Like you said, one guy, you're the biggest star in MLS right now. That you're the most productive guy is banged up. You look around, you still have Kai Wagner out there, you still have Glaznes, but your key element uh scorers or not strikers are not there, and yet other guys are coming in and taking care of business.
And I think that's what they need to continue. You need to continue to have a faith in the depth of the bench, of the reserves, to come in.
Mhm.
You know, Andre Blake's dealing with constant injuries. He's one of the guys who is Jamaica's. They're always in some sort of running for qualifying for World Cup. Um, so to have someone like Andrew Rick, who is having a great season, um, you got to continue to have that drive. And Carnell, he is, I really do. We keep talking about it. He's instilled this culture of the next game, just focusing on the next game. We're not going to think if the next game is the US Open Cup, then we'll think about the US Open Cup. But if the next game
Mhm.
is an MLS game, we're thinking about just the MLS games. We're happy for the guys who are away on international duties, but we're only worried about the guys who are in the locker room, right? So that just tells me no distractions. He has no distractions with these guys, and it's proving it. The one thing I want to see what they can do. You got teams like Chicago and the two New York teams, and you got Chicago coming up twice this second half of the season, and you got the Red Bulls. You're going to see the Red Bulls 3 times
Yeah,
because you
right,
got them in
right.
the U.S. Open
Yes.
Cup, right? These teams, and then you got NYCFC to a second, your last home game. All these teams are going to be fighting for these final playoff spots, right? So are the Union going to be in cruise control because of how where they're at in the rankings, in the standings? Or are they going to let these teams who are desperate for a playoff spot come in and prove them? And I feel like we're at the point now with this team where is it championship or bust with how well they're doing with all these firsts and how well the season has been going. Is it championship or bust?
Now, it is
Not
a
there
weird
yet.
dilemma. No, because you know what, Steve? It's a weird dilemma because in that
It
sense,
is.
I hold the players more accountable than the coach because this is only year one of the coach. And yes,
Right.
I guess I don't know if the expectations now change because you know what, you're sitting first, and if you fall out of the playoff round now, you
Right.
know, maybe you can start cranking up your stove. But I can't really go now if and again, what are you going to move on from Wagner and Glesnes at this point because all your strikers are fresh meat. Or fresh
Yeah.
meat. It's not like, all right, we're gonna move on from McGlynn. They done that. They moved on from Gazak. They done that. They moved on from Carranza. They done that. So everywhere on this team really is fresh meat. So I it probably can make this team at least a second round. I think a lot of union teams would be okay with that for a brand new coach. You are at the You're in first place. Does your expectations now change of the Philadelphia Union? Should they have to be accountable to make it to the cup or not? At least make it
To
to
the
the cup.
standards of first place,
That might be you got to at least make it to the championship. Yeah, that's got to go with the first place. But anyway, guys, we'll continue that conversation for next week. We'll talk about more about
That's a good
Chicago
one.
and facing a familiar face. Um,
Yep.
we'll say that, duties, because like I said, we'll say that because now the Philadelphia Union have to become road warriors, and you just mentioned, Steve, a little gauntlet will be waiting for this team. So enjoy your little vacation because you're going to need it. But anyway, guys, for me, Steve Fernandez, this has been a great, great episode of the Attack and Third, guys, season 5. We definitely appreciate it. Joe Howe, definitely thanks for chiming in. As
Yes.
always. And guys, stay tuned. Make sure you check out Matty B, the man himself, the mayor, Mayfair. So, guys, we'll stay tuned. We'll catch you later. Until next week, we'll see you later. Bye bye.